My dad moving to the Netherlands with me has made it very interesting in the race to the Champions League, but I would still say I slightly have the upper hand still, given that my Utrecht side are finishing the Europa League in season number 7. Money for either side though is currently non-existent, but surely it's too early for us to be looking at other jobs, right? Well, it certainly is for me, as Utrecht offered me a brand new 2-year contract and I'm accepting. And dad is also willing to stick around at least for the best part of season number 8. So with that being said, I need to create some transfer budget, and if that means sacrificing my best player and selling him, then so be it. And I was happy to do so because I have a free transfer replacement lined up for the player I'm selling for 13 million. But then my budgets were double when I lost my other centre midfielder when his 13 million pound release clause was also activated. Meanwhile, dad tried to do the same and couldn't even get any free transfers over the line because of his minus transfer budget, and his board aren't willing to budge either or allow it. And this ridiculous flaw means he's genuinely having to look to sell his best and most valuable player too. I wasn't trying to rub it in or anything, but there were some decent players that I was signing for free while this was happening. So when the bid came in for dad's player for just over 8 million, meaning he'd have 4 million to spend, he accepted. However, the player had other ideas and rejected the move, and dad was fuming. I was enjoying spending the money I had though, and even found an incredible DM for my Utrecht team. Although he couldn't prevent me from conceding a last-minute winner in the first game of the season against AZ Alkmaar. And despite dad really struggling this summer, his team on the pitch wasn't. So dad,
Yeah.
a little bit of trouble trying to just even raise any cash.
Tried selling that player, he just wasn't interested in leaving, so I've got to stick with it really. And I've got the players in on loan, so that's all I can do.
Yeah, 2 players coming on loan.
Yeah.
One of them's good, one of them I can't see you using at all.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see you using that guy.
I just needed another striker there just in case my main one gets injured, so I've got him on the bench really.
Yeah. But a starting centre-back though.
I desperately needed this guy. I think my defence was a bit weak, so this makes it a little bit stronger now. So I think that's a good signing for the season, so I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, so the team looks very similar to what it did last season after not being able to really bring anybody in, not even free transfers. I think that's kind of bad. If you have budget for the wage, you should be able to bring in free transfers.
Yeah.
It's annoying that because you got nothing or minus transfer budget, you can't do anything like that.
Just not helping me at all. So
no, it really screwed you over, to be fair.
I've just set myself up again to be very hard to beat, and hopefully I can catch teams on the break with the 2 wingers.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, they're good 2 wingers, so bit of luck, they'll do something, and the guys up front are paying them in for me.
I mean, you started well, and you've already beaten me this season. Yeah, 3rd minute.
Yeah.
At my ground as well.
Yeah, it's even better.
I have not started very well, unfortunately. I have brought in what I think is some quality players as well, and I spent a little bit of money off the back of selling a few players, whether it was against my will or not, because Havelka went to Damat because of a release clause. It gave me an extra £13 million, and I do think the side looks better because of it. But to begin with, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So the players I brought in, I mean, Gerald Kwanzaa is coming in. That's a good, I mean, there was even more before that, to be fair, with Rio Hatate and Gong was another one, and Rykov, who I don't actually think is going to get in now because of the players that I have brought in. But Gerald Kwanzaa was one of my main ones at centre-back.
I think this guy is.
Yeah. Mateus Franca from Crystal Palace, really good centre attacking midfielder coming into the club. Thomas Ringo was just a backup option there in midfield. I needed a goalkeeper, so I went and signed 3 of them because I had 0. I had no goalkeepers at the end of the season, so I've signed 3 in total. There's a £1 million one there, an 800k one there, and Dragowski, who was one of my favourite keepers last year, on a free transfer. So now I've got 3 goalkeepers, but this is the main signing for me. I had about £5 to £10 million left, and I went out and I bought Daniel Rodriguez from Penarol for £5.25 million, and that
was good, Danny.
A very good defensive midfielder, both-footed, really good natural fitness, great determination and composure on the ball. He might be my focal point of my midfield now. So tactically, I am sticking with what did me very well last year with that ball-winning midfielder role nailed in as Rodriguez. But as I mentioned, I haven't started that well. Now, European fixtures has been a bit of a distraction, and I lost to Anderlecht in the Europa League playoff round, which meant I go into the Europa Conference League. Could be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, 100%.
But in the league games, I've lost already to AZ Alkmaar. I've been beating them recently, so that's annoying, conceding a 92nd minute goal. Did beat VVV Venlo, but I lost again to Vitesse. I was down to 10 men within Gonj, and of course I lost to yourself, Dad.
Yeah.
So this season, I'm kind of all right with, unless something comes up, but I'm like, this is the one. I think you're on the opposite, where if something comes up, you kind of sort of go for it.
Well, I'm just if the board's not backing me, I'm hitting my head against a brick wall. So I've stuck in a tactic I'm hoping will work for me, and just hopefully that it just sticks at it. But if anything just comes up or anybody approaches me, I'll seriously think about it. Yeah.
All right. So let's carry on with this season then and see how things play out, whether we're still at these clubs by the end of the year. Outside of a couple losses against the bigger clubs in the league, Dad's team was doing very well, and it kind of prevented Dad from looking elsewhere on the job market as his side continued to win games. But after my bad start to the season, I was slightly concerned. However, things turned a corner rather quickly, and by January we were sitting in 4th and 6th place, albeit Dad was 5 points ahead of me. I had also finished in the top 8 of the Europa Conference League after an unbeaten start. My dad still had no money in January, but I had minimal amount left to loan and purchase 2 strikers that I felt could help me in the second half of the season. The loan of Simeone didn't really pay off as much as what I thought, but signing Mohamed Ali Joe certainly did, because he scored 2 goals in the Dutch Cup semi-final against PSV, meaning we go into the cup final and have Ajax to face. Dad, unfortunately, had already been eliminated by me. In fact, I beat Dad's team twice in the matter of weeks, but after a bad little run, he was back on track and still within a shot of the European spots. Speaking of which, after a dominant quarter-final win against Rijeka, we unfortunately come unstuck in the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League when we faced West Ham, losing 6-3 on aggregate. And it wasn't such a fairy tale ending in the Dutch Cup final either for us. And somehow, Dad's late season form gave him an end of season push. Well, I did not expect either of us to still be at the job. I thought maybe one of us, but both of us, no. But I definitely didn't expect us to both be finishing the top 5.
I definitely didn't expect that.
That is, what a season we've ended up having.
I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I finished 2 points behind you. I almost caught you at the end there. The goal difference is telling that.
Yeah.
6 goal difference. Just goes to show your tactic of being hard to beat worked a treat.
Yeah.
Because although you lost 10 games, the ones where you won just made enough, goal difference wise, +6, when the 2 behind you is +25 and +29.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it was a good tactic for that.
Yeah.
Very hard to beat, and it come off, so I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was a little bit distracted, of course, because of European football and an amazing cup run. As you can see, getting to the cup final, getting stuffed by Ajax, but just getting
That's
there.
unlucky. Yeah,
and semi-final of the Europa Conference League against West Ham. That's annoying,
yeah.
But still, you kind of expect it when you play against a Premier League side. I was knocking out Rijeka along the way. Round of 16 was Aberdeen, so there was another British side there. And the league phase, I did all right as well. I didn't lose any games there, so I've done myself quite proud in the Europa Conference League.
Yeah.
It's just, we've both done really well. I think my January transfer, sorry to brag that I managed to actually bring people in January, but the 2 the loan signing and a striker was a good move actually, because Mohamed Ali Cho has come in, 9 goals in 13 games that he has played, and only 10 starts.
Yeah,
it's been really crucial for me to get further up the league table, because if we're going by past positions, I was chasing the top, whereas you were you dropped off near the end, and we even switched positions for a while, and you pulled it back a little bit, but I was chasing for a while up there, while you were at one point holding on to second.
Yeah.
And yet you were considering, thinking, you were given no money, and you had only 2 loan signings, and you pulled this off. It's a cracking season.
Good tactic.
Really is. So for our profiles, it's done well, because I'm now up to a 3.5-star reputation. You're up to a 3-star reputation. That's been decent. I mean, your top scorer was the guy who you were trying to sell, but if you got the money, you would have replaced
I knew he was
another
probably
striker.
my best player anyway. So,
yeah.
But that's the only player I could get the money for, but he didn't want to go. So
no.
I'm pleased he didn't know.
But I mean, where do you look now? Because goals wise, he got 13 in 31, 11 from the other one.
It really all depends. Are they going to back me now with some money? I mean, I'm in Europe now.
Nope. -4 million pounds still.
What do they expect me to do?
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 million in the bank.
Well.
So you're going to have to sell players if you want to stay there. And at the minute, job-wise, I mean, we're not getting the Arsenal job, so you look elsewhere, didn't you? And
I don't want the Arsenal job.
Well, you would have snapped the hand off of it if they came to him. But the rest of the jobs are not appealing jobs.
No, nothing there.
And on the insecure side of things, the jobs that even there, I mean, Club Brugge, I would look at as the only one that is obtainable.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, everybody else that sticks out, but it's 4 stars, so I wouldn't go for that.
But at the same time, that's a sideways step.
Yeah.
and I'm not looking for sideways steps anymore. I want it to be the next step. So at the minute, I think we just go throughout the summer. We try and do our transfer business.
Well, I've got to sell.
Yeah, you got to start selling players. Yeah. I'm doing all right because, I mean, I had 20 goals from Matthias Franke, which was my centre attacking midfielder. Striker-wise, I needed to bring somebody in. I did. They started scoring goals. So for the next season, I'm kind of set with a good striker there. Yeah. I've got 4 million, which isn't bad, really. And if I do want to sell players, there's options of players that I'm not using, which are still like £2-3 million. So it gives me a good amount of options. So, yeah, I think we're going to have 2 very different transfer windows, I think. But I can see us both still staying here.
There's nothing there, so I haven't got much choice really.
Yeah.
So I've definitely got to stay there and try and sell a player and just see who I can bring in and build on what I've already done. So, yeah.
Let's go for it then. Once again, Dad looked to sell his best player to turn his budget into a positive one. And this time, he actually left the club to my dad's relief. Meaning he had about £5 million to play around with to secure some new signings. And for once, he was being smart and looked to spread the budget across free transfers. And eventually, he lined up a number of players to join him in the Netherlands to try and improve his Heerenveen side. I was also welcoming in some new players, having spent around £14 million on these 3 defenders. And Dad's final signing was also a very good centre-back brought in once again on a free transfer. Bids began coming in for my players and some good money too, like £13 million for my backup left back, allowing me to expand the quality of my side and sign this fantastic Danish striker for £6 million, which led to me switching to a 2-striker formation for this upcoming 9th season. But how has these changes and our new signings affected the start of our campaign? So, you finally managed to get a bit of money.
Yeah.
£9 million went out for El Masawi.
Taking a big chance by letting him go, but I need the money.
Yeah, he was top scorer for the last 2 seasons,
Yeah.
getting 13 in both. And you've replaced him well, I think. All with free transfers, bar one, which was 60k, which is basically just the compensation fee.
Yeah.
A lot of midfielders coming in. You've really spiced up that midfield there.
Yeah.
There's 2 players that have come in, I think, from midfield alone, or
I think that's
3
you
maybe.
definitely need to be strong there, really.
Yeah.
So.
Good striker coming in as well.
Yeah.
Decent physicals. Fairly good composure. Kone is a very strong and pacey. Likes to beat the offside trap.
That's the guy I'm sort of backing on, ready to score the goals for me this season.
Yeah, he's got a bit of an injury though. Ankle
yeah.
ligaments, out for a while. Mangala, a bit of experience in there, but he's also out for
That's the problem.
10 weeks.
Getting 2 main players in, both of them get injured.
Yeah, so Le Penant's also come in as well. He's another midfielder. So that's 3 good midfielders that you've brought in. And then finally, you needed a better centre back because obviously you had the lone guy who went back to his club, back to Benfica, and is now gone to Leverkusen for a free transfer as well. But you couldn't get the free transfers at the time.
I couldn't. No.
So Litvinov has come in, 30-year-old Russian, very decent centre back.
So I needed the right side of centre back. So this guy's done it for me. So yeah.
So your side does still look. I mean, you're still going to stick on the same tactic. The team command hasn't changed.
Nope.
It hasn't started that well
They
though.
got me in a 4th position last season.
Yeah.
I haven't improved it a lot, so I've got to stick with it, I'm afraid. But like you say, I haven't started very well this season.
No, losing to my old side for Tuna Sittard there, 2-0 away from home. Couple of draws, which should be wins.
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The old ones as well, so I'm a bit worried, I must admit.
Yeah.
They don't hesitate in sacking their manager, these teams, do they? So,
No.
I don't know, I'm a bit worried.
You got Europa League phase,
Yeah.
which you went straight into. I had to qualify. You went straight into. You've even got Manchester United in there. Interested in January, if you make January. There's a couple of big sides in there as well, though. How did I do? Did I manage to qualify for European competitions? I did. I scraped through, to be honest. I'm into the Europa League as well. I had to go through Hammarby back in July, then Rapid Vienna with a 1-0 home loss and managed to win 3-1 away from home. And then Ferenc, who I defeated 4-2 at home and 2-0 away from home, meaning I do qualify. But I've had a better start in the league. 2-0 against VVV, 1-0 against Sparta. That was a bad draw. And I only lost 1-0 to Ajax at Ajax. Not bad at all. Yeah. But let's have a look at my transfers then, because I did spend quite a bit of money. I sold a few players. We've got Alberto going out for £3 million there. Then there was another £22 million where I sold a left back and a right back because I had already brought in what I thought was better left back and right backs. So I introduced you to them, and I think I spent really well, to be fair. So I first brought in a right midfielder, which I thought would be my starting right midfielder. Then I've signed way better since, so maybe not anymore. Amir is a good left-sided centre-back that I've brought in on a free transfer. Konoplia, which is a better right-back in my opinion. And then I've also got Lucas Piton, who is a better left-back in my opinion. So, as I say... The two that I ended up selling for 13 million and 7 million. I made quite a lot of money out of it, to be honest, considering I thought I bought in better players. And that allowed me to bring in two very good players, including another good striker to go up front with Mohamed Ali Cho in this man here. He's 23-year-old Danish from Brøndby. He looks really good. Yeah. So, solid player there, and I needed a new goalkeeper to be better than the ones that I already caught, the three that I caught last year, and that's where Robin Risser came in, the French goalkeeper. So I'm turning into you. I know you're already looking at me. I've signed 4 keepers in 2 years. But to be fair, I started with 0. So 4 keepers are in, and I ended up selling one for £1 million after I only bought him for 800k and never used him. So that's good business, really. Yeah. So tactically then, I have changed and I've gone to a diamond with 2 up top. Changing it around from the 4-2-3-1 last year to see if I can... I wanted to play 2 up front because I've got Cho and Randelovic, who I think are 2 really good. And Gonj actually goes to the right midfield now. I signed him as a striker, but hey, I'm happy he goes there as well. And Daniel Rodriguez, who of course I signed last year, only 19 now. He's wanted by a lot of players, a lot of clubs, sorry. He's developed lovely. Yeah, so good now, I'm happy to let him kind of be the sole midfielder in there with some inverted wing backs to see how that one plays out. But yeah, as I mentioned, my schedule's been a lot better. Job-wise, a couple of jobs come up. Nothing too special. Nothing that really tempted us away from the Netherlands where we are right now. And I don't know whether I'm kind of happy right now to stick this out until I think that's a job I can definitely get. And I think it's a good a step up. I think you're at a point where it's like you're happy for a sideways step that gives you money.
Yes. I mean, as you can see from the start of that this season, I'm starting to struggle again. And they didn't back me, so I had to send my best player to get any money in. I've got to be looking a sideways step, I think.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. I've got a feeling there's going to be new clubs coming towards the end of this season.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. Let's find out. Well, we were certainly going to apply for jobs, especially when Leverkusen came up, because even I applied for that one. Dad, on the other hand, was already out the door and applying for every job that wasn't a backward step for him as they all began coming through. And that's because results certainly wasn't going his way, and his side was struggling towards the bottom end of the table, while I was sat in 5th place. But clubs were rejecting Dad's application, and some jobs were rejecting him and then going and offering me an interview instead. And I hadn't even applied for them, like Frankfurt. There was even some Premier League clubs that my dad decided to apply for as well in the last grasp before the inevitable happened. His bad run of form headed towards an away match against my Utrecht side, where I gave him no sympathy, and I beat him 2-0, which was his final game in charge of Heerenveen. And Omega Dad was sacked for the 2nd time on his quest to the Champions League trophy. Luckily for him, there was a lot of jobs going at that point in time as well, and he applied for many, including the Granada job in Spain. And exactly 2 weeks later, the Spanish side battling relegation approached Dad to become their new manager in a bid to help them survive. Another sacking and you landed on your feet.
I could see the sacking coming, and that's why I applied for so many jobs, really. And unfortunately, I didn't get them. But like you said, I fell on my feet with this one.
Yeah,
this was after I got sacked, so I applied for this job after I got sacked, and I was lucky to get it, I think.
You're in the relegation zone, but you're not in trouble.
No.
Because you're only 2 points behind. It's very early.
Yeah.
And even if, 6 points gets you to 15th.
It's only 2 games, isn't it, then, really?
Two wins. Yeah. And they've got an all right team. You've got a star player in there in Omar Lorente.
Yeah.
He is wanted by a lot of clubs. And he does have a £29 million release clause. If you're getting £29 million, I'd be like, yeah, that's absolutely fair.
That's went up a hell of a lot, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. But they do have a budget already for you to spend. £13 million. Already you've approached a right back because there isn't a very good one.
No, I looked at the team just quickly before the January transfer window came up, and I desperately needed a right back. So this guy was going to be available, so I jumped on this one.
So £1.5 million if he accepts his contract.
It's a good price for a player of that caliber.
Yeah,
really. And he can play both sides, which is, I like my players that can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just approaching January now. it's a good stage to take over a club because it gives you enough time. At Granada, a new league, a new country for both of us. You're still in the cup because the first round's just about to happen, which I think you've got next, in fact.
Yeah. And I think it's a good sideways steps, really, because it's a good league.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of teams in that league that you're quite capable of beating. I mean, when you come up against the big four, I reckon, you just take what you get. If you don't get any wins out of it, you just take that. But the rest of the league, I feel you do well and get up, above halfway in that table quite easily.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm still in the Netherlands. I even turned down a job at Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah. I applied for it. They snubbed me.
Yeah.
And offered you the job.
When I did, well, they offered me an interview, but I didn't even apply for it.
No.
But that's fair. I mean, it was kind of one of those ones where it's like they're in trouble, and I'm quite comfortable right now. If you look, I'm sat in 4th place. I'm just behind Feyenoord there in 3rd. Heerenveen is down there in 12th, so this is probably the reason why they've dropped you off quite a lot. But I'm doing all right. I'm in every competition still at the minute. I've even got Heerenveen in the cup, which is funny. I haven't got that much in the budget. And job-wise, I mean, right now there's nothing that's really popped up, and I thought I'm going to definitely go for that. I went for the Leverkusen one, of course. So I think we both did.
Yeah.
But neither of us was going to get that. That was just
you just got to try your luck.
A hope. Yeah, it was one of a hope.
You never know.
I mean, the Chelsea one, I very much doubt I'm going to get Chelsea, but I don't want to go to Palace because they're further down. It's a backward step, in my opinion. Job security wise, there's a couple of jobs in there. I mean, Sporting would be, they're down at 13th. That's mental.
Something's wrong there, isn't it?
Yeah, so that could be one that pops up that might be interesting, but other than that,
really,
nothing really. No. Nothing's really happening. How are they down that far? Wow. So that would be the only one that I think, if it came up, I would go for. But right now, I'm happy to stick where I am. I did indeed have every intention of sticking where I was because my team was playing really well. And we carried on into January where Dad's best player had his release clause activated by several clubs, including Milan. But then all of a sudden, I was invited in for an interview with Sporting in Portugal, who sacked their manager being sat in 10th place. Despite them only being a couple of points off of 3rd, and one of the biggest clubs in Portugal, and I could not turn that down. And on the 10th of January, they approached me to become their new manager of Sporting, and I proudly accepted.